You graduated at 16. That's fire. You gotta clap that. Clap it for yourself. Yeah, these hoes is dumb out here.
Y'all, Mariah the Scientist just became the center of one of the messiest hip-hop clashes of the year. I'm talking about viral New York Fashion Week clips. Young Thug's jailhouse insults, GloRilla turning those words into a diss track, and now Young Miami stepping in to defend Mariah while mocking Glo for being a colorist. And y'all, these clapbacks are getting uglier by the day because now the city girls are involved. But here's the twist. What started out as playful rap shots is now exploding into a conversation about colorism, female loyalty, and hip-hop, and whether GloRilla just crossed a line she can't walk back from. Stick around, because the deeper we go, the more we uncover, from Thug's late-night calls, to Mariah's bold moves on tour, to Miami turning this whole feud into a cultural moment. Before I break down how this beef spiraled, though, let's rewind a little, because Mariah the Scientist's history really matters here. She isn't just Thug's girlfriend or some side act. She's the girl who graduated high school at just 16, proving early on that she's gifted way beyond the music.
What do you think? Throw this out.
Yeah, I think
we all
you look so good.
I look like a different person.
She's talented, smart, beautiful, and at this point in her career, she's stacking real money off her craft. So when GloRilla tried to clown her as Tweety Bird in a diss, it wasn't just petty shade. It felt like an attack on everything Mariah represents. She's a woman who has stood tall through Thug's Rico mess, endured public humiliation, and still managed to sell out shows. And that's exactly why Young Miami felt the need to step in later. Because what Glo said didn't just sound like a diss. It came off as laced with colorist digs, too. But before we get into Miami's defense, let's rewind to how the shots first started flying. Mariah showed up at Laquan Smith's New York Fashion Week show looking like a whole new era of herself. Platinum blonde hair, a bold cutout dress, and walking in like she knew the entire room would stop.
GloRilla,
Yeah.
why do people say she pretty? That be ugly as fuck.
You think she ugly?
You said long ass bullshit ass wig, skinny shit, goddamn, big ass head, big mouth, man, watch out.
The night ended with Ty Dolla $ign, Latto, Ice Spice, Lil Kim, everybody in the building. Even Wendy Williams popped out, which had the whole crowd buzzing. But while fashion insiders were hyping up Mariah's look, social media went left, and that's when GloRilla started throwing shade, calling Mariah Tweety Bird. A clip of Mariah at the show went viral instantly, and the Tweety comment spread like wildfire. For a lot of fans, this wasn't just a casual joke. It felt like the start of something bigger, especially since Thug's leaked jail calls about Glo had already been circulating. And sure enough, Glo didn't just leave it online. She took it straight to the booth over the beat of the Hot Stills classic made famous by Young Jock. On that track, GloRilla unloaded a full diss, taking aim at Young Thug and sliding in jabs at Mariah too. She mocked Thug's style, his femininity, and even flipped his nickname into Young Bug. But what really struck people was how she came at Mariah, calling her stupid, saying she had a brain the size of a pea, and clowning her for standing by Thug through all the cheating rumors. With bars like "Beauty and the Freak lookin' SB, brain the size of a pea lookin' SB, I don't care if he cheating SB, long as he come home to me lookin' SB." The internet flipped upside down. Not just because it was funny or mean, but because Mariah and Glo were literally on stage together this summer at Hot 107.9's birthday bash in Atlanta. Back then they looked cool, like sisters in the same lane. And now, just months later, Glo was dissing her in front of the world. Even though Glo tried to claim it was all fun and games, fans weren't buying it, especially after what came next. Because that leaked call exposed exactly why she was mad in the first place. When people thought it was just playful rap shade, the jailhouse recording from Young Thug blew everything wide open. In the call, Thug was talking to Mariah and didn't hold back on how he felt about GloRilla. He straight up called her ugly, clowned her wig, dragged her frame, and said he would never pursue her. Long-ass bogus wig, skinny frame, big head, big mouth. I wouldn't pursue her at all. Ever. His words cut deep, and fans immediately connected them back to Glo's sudden animosity.
My friend is so pretty.
For Glo, that phone call felt like a knife in the back. Imagine being compared to Rihanna one week, and then having one of Atlanta's biggest rappers laugh at the idea of ever looking your way. So when she hit the booth, she wasn't just firing random shots. She was responding directly to that leaked call, because Thug embarrassed her on a recorded line, and Mariah was right there laughing along. That's why Glo came for both of them. She even joked about Thug once trying to flirt with her before flipping it back on him in the diss track. But what hit harder was her targeting Mariah, accusing her of tolerating disrespect as long as she got to keep the girlfriend title. That's the part fans zeroed in on, because instead of sounding like harmless bars, it started to feel low, bitter, and mixed with something darker. After the leak went viral, Thug scrambled and hopped on X to apologize, writing directly to GloRilla. "First of all, I'm sorry to you for my words, and I honestly don't think you're ugly at all. I was speaking from jail, just having a hard time with life. I don't like bashing girls and hardly ever did. I'm sorry to you, twin." But fans weren't buying it. To them, the apology felt too little, too late, especially since Glo had already flipped the insult into her own marketing moment. For Mariah, though, the timing couldn't have been worse. She had just dropped her album Heart Sold separately in August and was announcing her 2026 tour. Yet instead of headlines about her music, she was trending for being dragged into a diss track, mocked as Tweety Bird, AP Brain, and painted as the woman who sat quietly while her man clowned another woman on the phone. And while Glo was clowning and turning pain into bars, Young Miami popped out with a completely different energy. A clip went viral of her recording Mariah mid-conversation, and instead of piling on, she stopped and said, "My friend is so pretty." And then Mariah stuck her tongue out, smiled, and kept on talking. It was quick, but the internet ate it up. Fans loved seeing Mariah glowing despite the drama, with Miami hyping her up like a real friend should. But this wasn't just a cute moment. It was Miami putting a stamp of approval on Mariah, almost like she was saying, "We're not letting Glo tear her down." And it didn't stop there. Miami slid in slick comments shading Glo, questioning why her disses always circle back to skin tone and looks instead of talent. That's what fans started calling out too. Glo's bars about Thug were harsh, but when it came to Mariah, they hit differently. One fan tweeted, "Since GloRilla wanna be a colorist, be effing for real." Another wrote, "GloRilla is a colorist and it comes out every time she gets into it with someone." That's where Miami's defense hit hardest. Not just because she hyped Mariah up, but because she positioned Glo as bitter, insecure, and pushing colorist vibes. In hip-hop, where image and solidarity matter, that's a dangerous label to get stuck with. And it didn't feel random. Miami had just supported Mariah's album rollout in Atlanta with Queen Naija weeks before all this exploded. For her, it was loyalty. Miami knows what it feels like to be dragged online, to have your looks clowned, and she wasn't about to let Mariah stand alone in that storm. That shifted the narrative. Instead of Mariah being seen as the girl caught in the middle of Thug's mess, Miami reframed her as the woman worth protecting. Too talented and too smart to be reduced to a Tweety Bird diss. At first, people laughed at the Tweety Bird and Winnie the Pooh bars. But when the smoke cleared, the conversation turned to something heavier: colorism. Fans noticed Glo hit Thug with brutal punches about his style, his clothes, even his dreads. But with Mariah, the shots were almost entirely about her looks, with skin tone being the unspoken undertone. Some pointed out Glo has bragged about being a redbone in her lyrics before, almost like she sees it as an advantage over darker-skinned women. That made her bars about Mariah cut differently. Was Glo pulling punches because Mariah is lighter-skinned, or did she avoid touching her artistry out of respect? Either way, Miami doubled down on the colorism angle, turning the beef from rap competition into a cultural conversation about representation in hip-hop. And once that label sticks, it doesn't wash off easy. Even though Glo insisted her diss was just fun, the damage was done. Fans weren't praising her bars, they were dissecting her insecurities. To make things worse, Glo unfollowed Mariah on socials. That small move spoke louder than her whole diss track, showing there was real tension. Tweets flooded in, dragging Glo as bitter and insecure. Her attempt to frame it as jokes fell flat, while the Colorist label stuck. And in an industry where public image is half the battle, that's a dangerous place to be. The irony? By going so hard at Mariah, Glow made her look more sympathetic. Especially once Young Miami hyped her up, Mariah's brand only grew stronger. Through it all, Mariah never fired back. She didn't subtweet, didn't drop a clapback song, didn't even throw shade in interviews. Instead, she focused on her Heart-Sold Separately tour announcement and kept popping up with Young Miami, smiling and unbothered. That silence made her look even stronger, like she was above it all. Meanwhile, Glow was left in the hot seat, defending herself against accusations that her diss wasn't about rap, it was about bias. This beef might look like another round of rap disses, but the way it spiraled says a lot about hip-hop right now. We've seen it before, Azealia Banks versus Cardi B, Nicki Minaj versus Lil Kim, where battles between women turn into bigger cultural conversations about image, respect, and beauty standards. Glow's bars hit the wrong nerve because they echoed a long-running issue, colorism in the industry. Fans didn't just hear a joke, they heard a pattern. And perception matters. Meanwhile, Miami played it smart. She didn't need to drop a diss or jump on a track. All she did was gas up Mariah, mock Glow's insecurity, and let fans do the rest. And honestly, it worked. Instead of Glow's diss being the headline, the story became Miami defending Mariah while Glow got labeled a colorist. One woman strengthened her image, another's took a hit, and Mariah came out looking like the class act who never had to lift a finger. So where does it go from here? Glow could double down and keep dropping disses, but risk her image sinking further if the colorism narrative grows. Mariah could stay silent, keep stacking tour dates, and come out looking even bigger. Or Young Miami might ride this wave to rebuild her own brand as a defender of women in hip-hop, especially with the city girls on shaky ground. But let's not forget, Young Thug is still in the middle of a Rico battle, and every time his name pops up with Mariah or Glow, it drags him back into headlines he doesn't need. At the end of the day, this isn't about a Tweety Bird joke, a pea-sized brain bar, or even one leaked jail call. It's about two women in hip-hop navigating an industry where looks, tone, and loyalty get weaponized against them. One careless bar can shift an artist from fan favorite to villain overnight. Mariah played it cool. Miami turned it into a power move. And Glow? She's learning the hard way that once the internet calls you a colorist, that stain doesn't wash off easy. So what do y'all think? Did Glow go too far, or was it just normal rap competition? Is Young Miami really standing up for women, or just chasing clout? And most importantly, is Mariah the scientist about to come out of this bigger than ever? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next time the culture explodes.